You fear a little bit all the costs that are associated with starting school again.
Especially if you have more than one kid, it's enough that it hurts.
Textbook fee, technology fee, it adds up.
Finances sometimes are a barrier to participation for some kids.
These lists are long.
I think for parents it is a little difficult to know what they can ask to have waived.
They're nickeling and diming the parents of the kids.
I did not have the money, and those fees were astronomical. They seemed out of control.
Thank you for being with us for this Unaffordable Utah special report. Back to school for many Utah families doesn't just mean back to the classroom. It also means back to school sports, extracurriculars, and back to the bank to fork out money for all those fees. And if it feels like all those school fees have gotten higher and higher the last few years, you're right, they have. News specialist Lad Egan recently found out fees are skyrocketing in Utah, but there is a way to spend less. And it turns out thousands of Utah families are not taking advantage.
Want to go up on the slide? We were enrolling 2 junior high and 1 high school student.
When Nettie Francis moved to Utah, she was shocked to learn she'd have to write a check for hundreds of dollars at the start of the school year.
And I said, well, isn't this a public school? And they said, yes, but we have school fees here in Utah. And so we were quite surprised.
She was even more surprised to find out how much activities would cost.
And those fees were astronomical. They seemed out of control.
She's not imagining things. In the last 5 years, school fees in Utah jumped 29% to $71 million last year alone. That's an average of $250 per student for everything from $79 for band class, $294 for cheer, $84 for drama, $42 for a field trip, and get this, $112 for internet.
The fees that students pay themselves go to pay for their participation in that program.
Ben Horsley with Granite School District says it's important to remember that many of the fees are for optional activities.
You might be saddled with a $600 travel bill to California to participate in some sort of competition.
Students who can't afford to pay can get a fee waiver.
For instance, your general school registration fees can be waived. We're not going to waive a yearbook. That's not a necessary expense to participate in the public education program.
What the fee waiver represents is it's an elimination of a barrier to high quality education.
But the process is far from perfect, admits Angie Stallings with the State Board of Education. A recent internal school board audit estimated that 29,000 Utah students qualify for fee waivers but aren't getting them. Result, the audit says, is an unreasonable system of fees which jeopardizes equal opportunity for all students by limiting access to school programs. The problem goes back decades. In 1994, a permanent injunction created stiff new rules, but one critical rule was never implemented.
One of the things the injunction calls for, which we have never done, is to establish a maximum fee amount per sport or activity, or to establish a maximum fee amount per family.
In response to the audit, the school board has created a task force. The big question, though, if fees were to go away, where would the money come from?
People forget that if we didn't have school fees, probably what we would have is higher property taxes.
Lad Egan, KSL 5 News.
Lad, thank you. And there is some hope for help on the federal level, at least with some of these sports fees. And we're going to talk about some non-compliance and district-to-district fee differences here. A separate audit of Utah's school fee system is being done by the state legislature. And anyway, we've heard a little bit of that from Lad. All right, as mentioned, there is hope for help on the federal level, at least with some of these sports fees. Just last month, the U.S. House of Representatives passed what is called the FIT Act, or PHIT. The Personal Health Investment Today Act would allow families to use pre-tax health savings accounts to pay for physical activity-related expenses. Now, that could mean pay-to-play school sports, competitive sports teams, individual activities, camps, clinics, classes, tournaments, and even in some cases, equipment. Now that it's passed the House, the bill then heads on to the Senate, where a vote is not expected until November or maybe December. We're going to be watching that one pretty closely and let you know how it all plays out. All right, coming up next here, another back-to-school expense that can cost you big time. We'll take a look at ways to save on school supplies and show you which stores are likely to fulfill that supply list for the least amount of money. Welcome back. According to the National Retail Federation, American families are expected to spend nearly $83 billion on back to school this year. For the average family, it is about $700 on things like clothing, shoes, electronics, and supplies. Shopping around can save you money, but not necessarily time. So we sent Lori Pritchard out to see where you can expect to save the most on school supplies.
When it comes to shopping for school supplies,
we have kind of like our favorite go-to places.
There are all sorts of money-saving strategies.
I kind of like to hit some of the daily or the weekly sales sometimes. I do price compare and try to, follow the sales.
We price compared supplies from 4 big box stores: Walmart, Target, Office Depot, and Smith's Marketplace. From each, we bought the least expensive items we could find. Things like glue sticks, pencils, binders, notebooks, scientific calculators, and backpacks. Walmart, by far, was the easiest on the boss's credit card. Just over $16, thanks mostly to a $3 backpack. At $36.95, Office Depot was the priciest. Now, one of the backpacks we could find that was the cheapest, about $19. $22 was the total at Smith's, and $29 for Target. Dollar stores have deals, but may not have everything on your list. Dollar General didn't have a scientific calculator, but the rest of our list priced out at $9. Dollar Tree's total came in just $5, but they didn't have backpacks.
87% of parents who were surveyed by Retail Me Not say they are stressed out about back-to-school shopping. So we went to mega retailer Amazon.com to see if they had better deals.
Our list priced out at nearly $33 on Amazon. Only Office Depot's total was higher. But for those stressed out parents, it may be worth it.
They, don't want to have to deal with the crowds. They don't want to have to deal with crying kids. They don't want to have to deal with saying no to when the kid makes all of their requests.
Retail Me Not Sarah Skirball has another money-saving idea. Buy things like highlighters, pencils, and notebooks in bulk.
Split the bill with a few other parents from the classroom. You'll save yourself some money.
Lori Pritchard, KSL 5 News.
Lori, thank you. And before you head to the store, consider 2 other options to save some money on supplies. First off here, do a supply sweep of your home. Round up all the office supplies from closets, drawers, backpacks, and even purses. Lay them out on the kitchen table and then take inventory. You may find more things than you thought left over from the year prior. And consider this, a supply swap. Coordinate with some friends and neighbors, and you can maybe swap any excess supplies you may have, like paper or pencils, with somebody who has extra of something else that you need. And be sure to tune in to KSL Today next week for more ways to make your back-to-school money go further, how to pack the best lunches for your kids, and how to deal with first-day fears. And you can find these and many more back-to-school savings stories on the KSL TV app, on your smart TV, and all your favorite devices. Just look for the Education playlist. And thank you for staying up with us on this Friday evening. Have a great weekend as you get ready for the school year to begin.